any child who is born into a certain particular family, I think that's your root. So a child who has no roots will never have success in their life, is because their roots are weak. It's like when you have a plant and the roots are not strong enough, they're not going to be able to grow well. So when you have your roots strong, emotional, mental, the love that goes along with it, I think that is what all kind of reflects into your personality eventually when you grow up. So it's very important, whatever your culture is, feed your children the culture, because it's very important for them to have the right amount of roots to go back when they are in a problem. They'll always go back to the mother and the father when they need. So those roots are very important. The culture is very important. It could be a tradition. It could be your Christmas. It could be Ramzan. It is your Diwali. Don't move away. You can include something if you like in your life. You know, just like as Hindus, we are all celebrating Diwali, but we've all taken very well to Christmas also. We all have Christmas trees. So that's fine. That's interesting. You're giving that little joy to your children by, putting some presents across and all that. All fine, but don't let go of your own culture, because that's who you are. That's the essence that you are, and you shouldn't let that go. In olden days, the mothers and the grandmothers used to be around, because it used to be a very joint family. And the grandchildren would sit with their grandmothers and listen to fables, folk stories, folk songs. So now that's how they have passed on all these cultures. So today also you'll have your, I still remember my dadi telling me Amar Chitra kind of stories. And that's how I got hooked on to Amar Chitra. So that's how you kind of still relate. Like my children still tell me, please tell me, what did Aji speak to you, which is my mom? What did she explain to you? What did she tell you? So you have to keep talking about what your parents did, because the life that they led, the kind of things that they saw, and they will definitely tell you. Like my mom always told me about things that her mother and her grandmother passed on to her. So that's how you kind of keep, educating the generation coming along with the ancestral past also, with the wisdom that our ancestors had. It's just not about that the young are always correct or the old are always wrong. It's never like that. You just have to keep picking up things from your ancestors and keep passing it along. What they imbibe is really their own sense and their own intellect. I think my mom has been a huge influence in my life when it comes to spiritual growth. She's actually pushed me into it. It didn't happen naturally. She kind of pushed me into it. And she was very aggressive as a person, and very, very ahead of her times. And a lot of things, when I look back today, I possibly have not grown as a human being as much as she was. That's the kind of growth I saw in her. So I think spiritually, basically, she would always tell me, just sit down and do the puja. Even if you're just ritualistic, that's the beginning of spiritualism. I mean, sitting down, meditating, trying to concentrate, even that is good enough. So that's how I think I kind of got a lot of spiritualism from her. And also, I think she was a very open-minded person. She never ever believed, I know this is very contradictory, but there were a lot of things which are followed, which are very, very aimless in the tradition. So she just wouldn't follow them, because she said, I don't understand them, so I don't follow them. And I kind of like that. So she had a little rebel streak in her. I have it in me too. Both my kids also have it. So I think she was a very thinking person. Very important to ask questions, because only when you ask questions will you resonate with that particular thing that you have asked for. So I think it's very important to use science and logic behind what you're doing, because then you're going to do it with conviction. Just don't do it stupidly and blindly. Do it with conviction, because there is a scientific reason for everything. I mean, it's just that your mom doesn't know about it. But if you could Google it, you could find it from friends, find it from some pundit, go across, find out. And yes, you will have, possibly you will be able to educate your mother also. So I think it's very important that everybody should be aware of what they are doing. when you take a nursery child and you give them the 10th standard syllabus, he's not going to understand. So you have to start with an ABC. So when you give them a Mahabharata, they're not going to understand. But if you talk to them about Ramayan, there was a king and he had 4 children and he got married and this is how he went to Banwar. I think it's a very plain, simple, straightforward story. So you can just include it as a story without trying to make it sound like, oh, there's an education behind it. And then just take it forward. Once the child gets interested in a plain, simple story of how one king had 3 queens and how he did not have children and how he did the fire puja and how he was given a boon. I think it's just how you kind of bring it into their life. It just, let it seep into their life very, very naturally. And then I think rest just follows. All these years, we always thought that computer was so bad, phones were so bad. But those same things became a boon in the pandemic because that was your only friend around. You were doing your Zooms with your coffee, with your friends, you're celebrating birthdays over the Zoom, and your information, your news, everything was happening. In fact, your Arogya Setu app is on your phone for your health. So everything is happening. So I feel everything has its pro and its con. So when you're moving towards the different generations and, you're moving in life, you definitely have the support of technology. So there's not wrong to use the support and condemn it. But yes, we need to have that kind of willpower and understanding that we need to have draw a line, like you have your own personal Lakshman Rekha, where you need to kind of decide that, okay, this is it. This time I spend on Google or for some kind of education or for something, and I'm using a little amount of time for entertainment, but then we need to stop it. And when the days get better and when you actually can step out and watch a movie outside in the theaters or go out and play a football or a cricket or, we gym. So I would like to go out and gym and do my yoga outside with friends. That's when you take it forward. But you need to have your own self-discipline because nobody in this world can stand on your head constantly and keep telling you. Your mother does it when your child is young. After that, you just have to have that mother in your head all the time. Visualize her in your head, and you have to be strong enough and make your own set of rules. Because if you don't do that, you're just going to grow like a wild shrub. You need that box where you have to have a certain amount of rule, and that's why you have something called break. When you're working and then you take a break, but you can't be constantly on a break. So that break needs to be there. But then you need to understand that the break timing should be much shorter than your work timing. I have been a very strict mother, being very honest. I have never ever allowed my children to watch TV and eat. It was always on the table. And when my mother came, that was a time when my mother would say, yeah, let's sit and watch TV and eat. So that 1 day and 2 day I would allow because, the grandmother was around, but I never liked it. So I always told my mom, okay, please don't get into this habit because every time you come, they're going to get into this routine because they kind of like it. So it was a break for them. So I did allow, but otherwise, whatever happens, even if I'm alone in the house, I never sit with my food on the bed and watch TV or in the family room and eat. I'm always on the dining table. And that routine and discipline needs to be maintained. Because if you don't do it, they're not going to follow it. Yeah. And I see my children doing it now. They all come on the table, even if they're alone, if the family is not there, but they don't eat in the bedrooms. Well, I think it's just all about being vigilant, where you have to be still constantly, probing and telling your children because you cannot not be a mother just because you're a working woman. It's fine to be a working woman. It's nice to be a working woman. But yes, you need to have that vigilance. You call up your child, keep telling them, probing them, tell the maid, the nanny, or the in-laws or grandparents, whoever is around, कि बच्चों को table पे बिठाना. Make sure that the homework is done within this time. मैं phone करके पूछूंगी. So that vigilance of a mother, I think, just needs to be there. So that fear, like I remember my mom used to always tell me that the moment you enter, the servants and everybody is so fearful that, oh, now she's come. it's, if you don't give that kind of, it's not fear as such, but that kind of a feel that they can get away with it, then they will get away with it. And one fine day, they are going to feel that, oh, you know, why did I turn out like this? Or, oh my God, I just can't do it. And what you kind of imbibe in your young age, like, I'll tell you what, I did the puja part when I was 6 or 7 years old, because I was forced to do it. And then it just became a part of me. Like, I just have to do it. Whereas my children did not get into that habit. I did not force them. I wanted them to take it the way they want to do it. So they are both religious. When they're getting ready, they're listening to their bhajans, they're listening to Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, the Buddhist chanting. They're listening to all kinds of things. They're quite worldly wise when it comes to religion, because they're open to a lot of different kind of religions also. In fact, my older one even has read about Judaism. So it's fine. But they don't have the discipline of sitting down and doing a puja. Like I do diya. They don't do it because it was not imbibed. So anything that is not imbibed in the young age, it gets very difficult later. So that discipline in every aspect needs to be brought in during your childhood. So, I know no child likes it. No child would like it. But it is, tough love. You have to give it to them. You have to give them tough love, because these are the things that when you grow at the age of 30 is when you're going to reflect back and say, oh yes, thank God, you are tough on us, and we've turned out well. I mean, if you have that kind of an attitude, कि भाई 10 बजे सोएंगे तो चलेगा, you are going to miss out everything in life. So you have to, inculcate all those kind of things into their lives. Yes. That's why you see, a 2 generation ahead of us, all the kids who've grown up in villages and gone abroad and have become successful, they all have this story to narrate, that thank God that we did not have enough and we had to fend for ourselves, and our parents woke us up and we had to do the kitchen work as well as the farming as well as studying, and we've become what we are. So that made them strong. So that tough love, in whatever essence is available to them and given to them, I think will always shape them up as a stronger individual. I think that's your base of your mental health. Honestly, today, yes, I mean, 2 days back on the 10th, 2 days back was the Mental Health Day, International Mental Health Day. So I'll tell you what, 50 years back or 100 years back, we did not have a day like that. For simple reason, we had a family who we cried out to and we spoke to. I mean, there were 20 women and 20 men in the same house, and we all had our, I mean, of course, I was not part of that 50-year-old, 100-year-old back era. But what I've heard is that huge houses were there, and the chachas and the kakas and the buas were all living together. They all had their own set of friends and enemies within that whole family, but they were all very open to crying and were heard. So that's why we did not need therapists, because our family and friends did it for us. Today, it's our friends. Why do you have this big thing that go and do girls' night out and do girls' picnics and go out with girls? Because you're just venting out everything that has been happening in the house. So you don't need a therapist. So now your spiritual growth and your mental growth is all about how you are as a person. So you need to have a very strong spiritual growth to have a good mental growth. Being in a family, being with friends, being able to cry it out in front of your gods, because he's listening, he's around. That kind of faith that you would have on spirituality, that there is a power who's going to look after you. That thought itself is going to make you so strong that you would never ever have to worry about anything in life. So I have a guru. He passed away 100 years back, but I've kind of called him my guru. So I have always spoken to him like he's a friend, he's around, and it has worked for me. So I think that kind of, when you go back to your roots, I think it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. You just need to, you can take grip of your life even now. I mean, even if you're 30, 40, 50, you can still take grip of your life if you feel you've missed out on, you were in a nuclear family and you missed out on it, but you still have just sit down at the temple, wherever you're comfortable with. You could even go to Gurudwara, because it's a very peaceful place to be in. One of the most peaceful places of worship is Gurudwara. So go anywhere. I mean, just go anywhere, but just sit down, be at peace. Just look into your breathing, how you're breathing. And it's all about mental health. It's all about mental health. It's all connected. Those days were days when I would come back from school and would change, and I would have a glass of milk, and my friend would be, one of my building friends would come down, and then we would go for a walk, and we would have one mango dolly ice cream every day. We were staying at Pali Hill, so the Kato Road pura walk karke aate the. So that was how we would spend time with people, instead of doing a Zoom meeting like this with friends now. So I would actually physically go. So I would end up walking. I would end up venting out everything that went wrong in the school, possibly learning from her. She would learn from my talking. And we had an exercise, came back, and then got back to doing homework. So I think it was a very simple life. But when you think about it, I didn't have to specially go on the treadmill to walk for that 1 hour, which I do now, So I think it's kind of 2-in-1 would happen at that point of time, that you're seeing a therapist at the same time you walked on your treadmill. So it's just a 2-in-1 kind of a thing. So it was a very simple life. Even with my parents were concerned, my mom would go to meet her mom once in a week, would have her friends coming over from neighboring places. So हफ्ते में 2-3 बार कोई आ रहा है घर पे, हम किसी के घर पे जा रहे हैं. So it was always a lot of people coming and going. It was not just because we've invited them for dinner, they were coming. Today, you only have people when you invite them for dinner. Otherwise, nobody just walks into your house. Okay, hello, are you free? Let me drop in. No, nobody does it. It's only if you're inviting them for coffee, they're coming for coffee, or you're inviting them for dinner. So I think it's got too formal. The world's becoming very formal. Yeah.